It's interesting because we know that the Egyptians had boats.
Yeah, I think the best evidence for it is ancient maps, which show the world as it looked during the last ice age. However, these maps were largely based on much older source maps, which they copied.
Most of us learned that Christopher Columbus was the first non-native to set foot in America, but a recent jaw-dropping discovery could rewrite history. A 5,000-year-old Egyptian map has surfaced, and it accurately depicts the Americas, raising big questions. How was this ancient map created? And how did they know about the existence of America so long ago? In this video, we'll reveal the stunning details behind this ancient map and the mysterious egg that could prove the pyramids are even older than we once thought. Stick around until the end, because by then, you'll definitely be shocked. This 5,000-year-old discovery isn't just an ancient map, it's a revelation that could rewrite history. Found in the ancient city of Hierakonpolis, or Nekhen, as it was known back then, this map isn't merely a decorative piece of art. It contains something mind-blowing, geographical details that shouldn't have been possible for its time. It depicts the American continent, a land supposedly unknown to the Old World until Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. But if this map is accurate, it forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations and their knowledge of the world. Hierakonpolis was no ordinary city. As the political and religious heart of Upper Egypt in pre-dynastic times, it yielded countless artifacts. But nothing compares to the magnitude of this map-bearing painting. When researchers first laid eyes on it, they quickly realized it wasn't just another piece of Egyptian art. The painting's outlines weren't random, they were recognizable continents. A closer look revealed North and South America. How could ancient Egyptians know about lands across the Atlantic? It raises the stunning possibility that this civilization might have been aware of, or even in contact with, the Americas thousands of years before Columbus. This discovery suggests something revolutionary: transoceanic voyages long before European explorers. Could the Egyptians have sent ships across the vast Atlantic? Did they trade or communicate with the native peoples of the Americas? These questions, once thought impossible, now demand answers. But it doesn't stop there. The map also includes stunningly accurate depictions of Europe, Asia, and Africa. From the Mediterranean Sea to the Nile River, and even the mountain ranges of Europe and Asia. The level of precision is jaw-dropping. This kind of detailed geographical knowledge had to come from somewhere. Were these ancient mapmakers explorers themselves, or did they somehow gather this information from others? Maybe they had access to a vast network of trade routes and international exchanges that allowed them to compile such an accurate world map. And the artistry itself, just as impressive. The use of natural pigments and the precision of the line work speak to the incredible craftsmanship behind it. But perhaps the most groundbreaking aspect of this map is what it implies. It challenges our understanding of who the first non-native people to step foot on American soil really were. Could ancient Egyptians have beaten Columbus to it by thousands of years? Now, let's dive into a mystery so strange, it might just change everything you think you know about ancient history. Ever heard of the Naqada culture or the mysterious Nubia Egg? These two could turn the story of Egypt on its head. The Naqada culture thrived around 4000–3000 BCE, long before the pharaohs ruled. In fact, this civilization laid the groundwork for what would become ancient Egypt. During this time, early settlements began to form, craftsmanship flourished, and trade networks expanded, creating the backbone of Egypt's cultural and political rise. But perhaps the most fascinating part of Naqada is the incredible artifacts it left behind, artifacts that have been key to understanding Egypt's societal, religious, and artistic development. And then there's the Nubia Egg, a discovery that has sparked endless debates among scholars. Found in 1907 by British archaeologist Cecil Mallaby Firth, this ancient artifact, dating back 7,000 years, is now housed in the Museum of Nubia in South Egypt. It's not just the age of the egg that's stunning, it's what's on it. The egg, originally made from an ostrich eggshell, is etched with intricate, abstract designs that have baffled researchers for over a century. The egg features 3 triangles on one side, with horizontal lines stretching across them. Scholars have suggested these triangles represent the pyramids, specifically the 3 most famous ones on the Giza Plateau, the pyramids of Menkaure, Khafra, and the Great Pyramid of Khufu. Next to the triangles is a thin snake, believed to symbolize the Nile River. This design has raised eyebrows because, if the egg truly depicts the pyramids, how did the artist know about them so far in advance? Now, the pyramids we know and admire today are believed to be around 4,600 years old. But there's a huge problem here. This egg was created over 2,000 years before the pyramids were supposedly built. How can an ancient egg depict pyramids that wouldn't exist for millennia? Or are the pyramids actually much older than we've been led to believe? Some scholars have tried to brush it off, saying that the triangles on the egg are just representations of mountains. But let's be real, mountains don't have the clean, symmetrical lines you see on this egg. The design is far too deliberate to be mistaken for a natural mountain range. It looks like the artist was depicting something far more intentional, something like the pyramids. And if that's not enough to make you question things, consider this. The methods we use to date the pyramids aren't exactly foolproof. Carbon-14 dating, for instance, is great for organic material, but it's not reliable when it comes to dating stone. Even hieroglyphics, often used to date these structures, could have been added later. Some have suggested that the pyramids may have been repurposed by the Egyptians, which means they could be much older than we think. Then, there's the controversy surrounding Colonel Howard Vyse. In 1837, Vyse claimed to have discovered painted marks inside the relieving chambers of the Great Pyramid, one of which bore the name of Pharaoh Khufu. This discovery led to Khufu being credited as the pyramid's builder. But here's where things get murky. Some researchers believe Vyse may have forged those marks to make a name for himself. If true, this would completely shake the foundations of what we think we know about the pyramids. On the flip side, there are theories, backed by some evidence, that suggest the pyramids are actually much older, perhaps as ancient as 8,000 years. Dr. Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University, has explored this possibility. His research on the Sphinx, which has stood watch over the pyramids for millennia, points to erosion patterns that don't fit the typical story of wind and sand erosion. Instead, these patterns suggest prolonged exposure to heavy rainfall, something that hasn't occurred in Egypt for thousands of years. Schoch's findings point to the Neolithic subpluvial period between 10,000 and 5,000 BC, when the Sahara was a lush, wet landscape. This could mean that both the Sphinx and the pyramids predate the rise of dynastic Egypt by thousands of years. However, there are other writings that suggest older dates for the construction of the pyramids. According to ancient Egyptian historian al-Makrizi, Pharaoh Khufu might not have been the mastermind behind the Great Pyramid after all. Instead, he credited a king named Surid with the construction. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Al-Makrizi linked Surid to the biblical figure Enoch. Surid, said to be a wise ruler, foresaw a catastrophic flood and ordered the pyramid to be built as a vault to preserve the essence of civilization and its knowledge. This story ties into ancient North African beliefs, which often intertwined celestial bodies with religious and funerary practices. In this light, the traditional method of dating the pyramids could be nothing more than educated guesses. One burning question is why the pyramids are represented twice on the Nubia Egg. Some scholars suggest that these depictions could symbolize the Nile River during both the dry and wet seasons, explaining why the rivers on the egg aren't the same width. The artist could have been showing the changing volume of the Nile over time, meaning the egg might depict not just pyramids and a river, but the very cycles of the year. But here's where things take a turn. Near the top of the egg are several concentric circles surrounding a small opening. Some believe this detail might connect the egg to the legendary city of Atlantis. Plato, in his work Critias from around 360 BC, described Atlantis as having concentric zones of land and water encircling each other. These rings bear an uncanny resemblance to what's etched on the Nubia Egg. Could it be that this ancient egg is depicting not just Egypt, but Atlantis as well? If any geographical connections are ever proven, it might mean that the lost city of Atlantis wasn't as far removed from Egypt as we thought. This humble egg from 7,000 years ago may hold the key to one of history's greatest mysteries. What do you think about this? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the video on your screen for more mind-blowing content like this.